Look at that. He's back. High definition television on your screen. It's been like a month. I was on a roll there. I really was. And some shit happened, you know. Time of COVID. Went to see Reeks from France. Fucking killer show. They played with this band called Abiecta from Spain. Also fucking killer. As well as some local groups. But yeah, what did I take home from that show? I took home COVID. COVID sucked. I'm pretty much over it now, though. And I've been wanting to do a video since I've been feeling better. I've been feeling better for like 2 weeks, if I'm honest. I've just been kind of putting shit off. That said, when you can't think of anything else to talk about, you talk about what's been spinning. You know, and it's funny, I was talking to Aaron, the metal theologian, about this. Who says, man, you know, I'm gonna spin a record when I get home. I say I'm gonna put a record on, or I'm gonna play a record. I never say spin unless it's in the title of one of these things. But I digress. Let's fucking get onto the content, I suppose. Just some pulls of, this is all shit that I pulled down from up there that's been playing pretty consistently over the last while. Might as well just dive right into it. I picked this up fairly recently. One of the few, what I would say essential St. Vitus records that I didn't have in my collection prior to that. That would be V. Now, this might be a little controversial. This is, I've decided after about a week and a half of kind of obsessing over St. Vitus that this is my favorite wino record for St. Vitus. I know a lot of people would be quick to say Born Too Late, or even the album that preceded this, Morning Noise, whatever the fuck. Escapes my brain right now. I had a long day at work and I went to the gym. Then I had dinner and now I'm doing this shit. At any rate, St. Vitus. I mean, what could I say at this point about St. Vitus that hasn't already been said? Doomy. Very slow. Very much taking from the school of Black Sabbath and slowing it down even further, making it even more lo-fi. At least their 80s output. My favorite Vitus, honestly, has got to be the first album. Just killer record. Probably followed by this, then Born Too Late, Hallow's Victim. I don't know, it flip-flops, except for my favorite wino, which is, I think, firmly entrenched, being this one. The songs on this are just killer. Living Backwards, killer. I Bleed Black, killer. When Emotion Dies, killer. Short, but killer. Patra/Petra, killer. Ice Monkey, killer. Jack Frost, killer. Angry Man, killer. Mind Food, killer. Every song is killer on this record. This is a repress from Hankenstein Records. You'd be surprised, well, maybe you wouldn't, how hard St. Vitus records are to come by these days. It used to be a dime a dozen through SST, but they seem to be out of print. Insert great picture. Not a photo. Lyrics. This record, super despondent. I mean, dare I call it emo? There is so much angst on this fucking thing. It's ridiculous, but it rules, and I'm super stoked that I picked it up in a time when these reissues are hard to come by. So there's that. That's been ruling my speakers since I got it. What else has been ruling my speakers since I got it? Well, when I had COVID, I was sitting there feeling pretty sorry for myself. Being sick, I always feel sorry for myself when I get sick. I think most people do. I'm a shitty sick person. Luckily, I don't share this apartment or living space with anyone other than 2 cats. At any rate, whenever I get sick, I tend to make rash decisions to splurge on like a record, like not just like a regular record, but like a record. And this is what I splurged on when I had the vid. Ashbamar Coup de Metal. I hope I pronounced that correctly. They are French, after all. This is their EP, preceded, I think, their one and only full-length album, released by Rave On Records. Look at the guys there, looking both French and metal. This record kills. Really good shape too. And I found it for a steal for what it is. Now that steal, well, shit, there was not, unfortunately, $6.98. I'm not going to disclose what it was, but it was more than that. Just a rad record. I've wanted this for a very long time, and it's one of those that I would see and I would go to buy, and it would be unavailable. You got the Rave On center printed center, whatever the fuck. Shit is just escaping my mind today. Center label is the word I was looking for. And I realized I haven't really talked about what this sounds like. If you don't know who Ashbamar are, they were, as I said, a French metal band from the 80s. This record, in fact, came out in 1983. Came with a nice little inner insert here with lyrics that I can't read because they're in French, which is great. I was talking about this with Uncommon Pallor on Friday night after the Heavy Metallurgy stream with Marty Worm that we both guested on, the crossover stream. Killer time. Kind of a short one for Heavy Metallurgy, just a little over 2 hours. If you got 2 hours to kill, go watch it. We talk about some rad shit, show some rad records. At any rate, we were convalescing after the stream ended and talking a little bit about French metal. And, we all kind of concurred that we do not care as much for English versions when they're available of classic French metal records. Classic example being the first Sortilège LP, excuse me, not EP. At any rate, I digress from that as well as when I digressed before. This record is just awesome. Speed metal, Motorhead worship. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this, other than maybe the first Volcane record, which top tier, really. And maybe the next thing that we're going to look at. At any rate, yeah, this showed up, and it's again just been on the turntable a lot since it's been here. I love it. The only other French release that I can think of that, and I pulled this when that record showed up, just because it's been a while since giving it a go in the tape deck, is this first Sortilège EP. This is a reissue that came out maybe 2 years back. I'm not sure, 2 or 3 years back, from Black Legion Records. There is the classic cover art of the EP. I got number 95 out of 200. And you got a real nice fucking cassette right there. Real nice fucking trading card included with the band on one side. Oh, and look at that. I don't remember how or why Sortilège appeared on my radar. Probably, if I had to warrant a guess, it would have been from the video Aaron, the Metal Theologian. Again, pops into the conversation. If you're not subbed to him, you should sub to Aaron. He did a video on French metal, specifically bands signed to Devil's Records. And I think while researching back when that video originally aired and I caught it, most of what he was talking about in that video and Sortilège then inadvertently came up. Big J card, lyrics again in French. Love it, love it. This EP is fucking stellar, heavy metal, speed metal. Before power metal in Europe got flowery, i.e. post Halloween, early Halloween. It's rad, you know, more Motorhead worship and Venom worship on here. Definitely hear it, but it is also really well composed and really well played. There was a point where Chuck Schuldiner could be seen in a lot of his photos wearing, I believe, this very shirt right there. So they had a lot of influence on a lot of bands just outside of their genre. And yeah, this tape fucking smokes. I can't recommend this release enough. It's not easy to come by these days. At least it wasn't until this popped up. And like I said, this is a good 2-3 years old at this point. So who knows what the availability is now. I forgot to re-sleeve. Hey, it's my channel. Re-sleeve if I want. So what's next? What's next that I've been fucking obsessing over? Oh, here's one. I've been playing the shit out of this. First of all, killer fucking cover art. And if you can't read the words on the album, it's a second release by the band Savage, Hyperactive on Zebra Records. Savage, of course, being kind of quoted as releasing one of the most seminal albums in new wave of British heavy metal history, Loose and Lethal. I know a lot of people that are pretty quick to throw that in there with the rest of the essential NWOBHM, new wave of British heavy metal full-length LPs. This is not quite as solid as Loose and Lethal. They slow it down a little bit more often on this release than they do on the first one. But I still think it's a really fucking solid record. Cool labels, like I said, on Zebra Records. No insert in this, if I'm not mistaken. You know, it's a little late at this point to probably continue calling it new wave of British heavy metal. This was released in '85. But you hear, you know, of course, callbacks to that older Savage material. It's just as raw as far as the production goes, just as catchy, just as, I don't know. The only thing it kind of lacks is like the driving intensity that just doesn't stop. There are some slower cuts on this album, especially on the B side. That maybe might take some listeners out of the experience, but I think listened to as a whole, this album works really well. And yeah, again, it's another one I've been playing the shit out of. I like it a lot. No apologies. I never said that my favorites of the new wave of British heavy metal were obscure or nuanced. Speaking of new wave of British heavy metal, here's another one that is a little late and was hyped to me by a certain John, Bip Bop Boom. Also, he'll be down below along with Aaron, the Metal Theologian. That'd be this album by the band Spider, Rock and Roll Gypsies. Now, we were streaming on the Doctor and the Kids show, another program that you should really be subbing to. I believe that they are going to be streaming this weekend, this Saturday. I won't be able to catch it because I will be in Portland doing some record shopping and hanging out with friends. I think Roller Derby will be involved. I don't know 100%. Just kind of winging it. I haven't been out of town since South Carolina. At any rate, this record, Rock and Roll Gypsy, came up because John was hyping basically some new wave of British heavy metal for Ryan. And this was one of the albums that John had pulled. And very appropriately so. You got the back there. This is an RCA release from, did I say it already? Oh, Jesus, I can't read that even with my glasses on. I would say 1985, probably. Killer record. If you're expecting something along the lines of like a Warfare or like say Avenger, Blood Sports, you're going to be probably disappointed. 1982, actually, for this one. It is nowhere in that same caliber. In fact, what this record reminds me mostly of is like somewhere this weird intersection existing between Rose Tattoo from Australia and Tank, new wave of British heavy metal band. Songs are not fast. They do rock. They almost like have a pub rock quality, like the pre-'80s new wave of British heavy metal, like a lot of it did. This record just is it's super fun. Every song is just a rocker, catchy, anthemic, dare I say. It's a fucking great record. I would put this up there with Wildcat, Tigers of Pantang, another favorite of mine. Same sort of boulevard that they exist upon. Maybe a little bit of Vitus. I don't know. I'm not going to compare it anymore. I'm just going to say it's killer. Just a killer rock and roll album, really, when it comes down to it. I mean, that's all of this shit is, really. It's just fucking rock and roll. Spider, Rock and Roll Gypsies. Check it out. It is a cool listen, to be sure. Let's see. Another tape. Speaking of NWOBHM and Tank, we got Tank's fourth album, Blood, Honor and Blood, released by Roadrunner. This is a Canadian version, I believe, because it is a chromium dioxide tape, sub to chromium dioxide radio, and it's got a black shell. That's how you know it's Canadian, when the tape looks cooler than a US version. You've got a very simple J card with other Roadrunner releases of the time. Road Racer, excuse me, not Roadrunner, Road Racer. This album by Tank was initially released. Does it say? You know what? It doesn't sadly say what year it came out. I would like to say 84, maybe 85. Late. Like I said, Tank's fourth record. Not as good as the preceding three, but still very solid. In fact, I never thought that I would hype a record with a cover of Chain of Fools by Aretha Franklin on it, but I mean, here we are. Also, that cover art is just goddamn stellar. Yeah, they covered Chain of Fools, epic tracks on here. The War Dregs Ever on, like 8-9 minutes long. When All Hell Freezes Over, just another epic killer. Title track, savage, just brutal. This is like Tank's like war metal record. It's so just like surly and burly and just stomping. Not as fast as the preceding record. This Means War or Filth Hounds of Hades. Kind of actually calling back to the pace of the majority of Power of the Hunter, the first record. Algie Ward, of course, formed Tank from the ashes of Leaving the Damned. I believe he was on just the Machine Gun Etiquette record, if I'm not mistaken. May have been on the follow-up, but I don't own the follow-up. Machine Gun Etiquette, Damn, Damn, Down, those are really the only two Down records that I'm ever going to spin. So, Algie was on Machine Gun Etiquette, left the Damned, formed Tank, still does Tank as far as I know, unless it's been put on hold since the last time I checked, as a solo thing. So a lot of them, like, what would you say, current Tank records have drum machine. They're not great. But it's impressive that he's still doing it. So you got to give him props for that. He's been in the scene a very long time. And another one of those cases where a punk guy started doing a metal thing. You could talk about Evo, Warfare, who was previously in Angelic Upstarts and I believe Major Accident. At any rate, this record by Tank is killer, and I recommend it. There's some lyrics that are a little dated. I'm gonna be honest. But you kind of have to look at the time that it came out. They were trying to be political. Not that their politics were bad. It's just that they were maybe not phrased incredibly well. How about that? I still recommend it. It's a fun listen. Tank's one of my favorites. Got another tape. Savatage, Sirens. I picked this up right after South Carolina. And I think I've told this story, at least maybe in a stream. I was in South Carolina, hanging out with Aaron, the metal theologian. We went up and visited Pat, Ground Zero Salem. And this was right after Pat and his family moved to North Carolina. And Pat had put on Savatage, The Dungeons Are Calling. And I got home, and of course, my first weekend back, I had to go record. I mean, it's what I do every fucking weekend. I go record shopping. And I found this cassette. We had talked a little bit about this, although we didn't listen to it in North Carolina. And I also found The Dungeons Are Calling on wax. And I believe I've shown that. If not, I'll pull it at some point. We'll take a look at it. We'll discuss it. This album, along with The Dungeons Are Calling, 10 out of 10. This record's fucking killer. There's not a bad, it's like most of these records that we've been looking at. There's not a bad track on here. The title track rules, Holocaust rules, Living for the Night rules, Scream Murder rules, Out on the Streets rules. It's just a rad listen. American power metal, tough heavy metal. They got kind of like, let's face it, Savatage got kind of shitty here or there. There's the one with the fucking flag. I don't remember the title of that one, but that one blows. And then there's like Gutter Ballet, and that record fucking sucks too. In my opinion, Dungeons Are Calling, Sirens, and Hall of the Mountain King. It's like essential Savatage right there. This was released, combat release. And, I don't think these tapes are too expensive or too hard to come by. And definitely worth snagging if you're into American power metal from this time period. Jagdpanzer, Omen, anyone. Just awesome. Last LP that has been getting spun a whole shit ton as I cross my other leg because the other leg fell asleep. I found this recently, and it is not something I was familiar with prior to seeing it on the shelf at the record store. But it piqued my interest because it looked old and it looked punk. So that will be Phantom Opera, not Phantom of the Opera, Phantom Opera. There's the band on the cover. You got, you know, logo there. 12-inch EP. It is a short listen. I believe on 45 RPM. Back cover. Now the cover did, the front cover did, you know, trigger me to pull it off the shelf and take a look at it. So I'm looking at the back, reading these credits. 1986, New Alliance Records. I see mastered or marketed by SST Records. See that? So that's like a, you know, that's like a bell going off. And then I see produced by Mike Watt. So there's another bell going off. And I'm thinking, I'm trying to get an idea of what this band sounds like, having not heard it. I bought it blind, honestly. It wasn't super expensive. It came with a promo photo of the band. Again, same photo session as the front and the back of the record itself. You know, you got the band listed by name, photo credit, Naomi Peterson. I've seen their work before, this record. I'm pretty sure they're one of those folks like Edward Culver who worked very tightly with the Los Angeles punk underground at the time. You've got the record label logo. I don't really know what's going on there. And then the address and in quotes, where the shit is weak. This record is not weak shit. It is a fun listen. It's LA Punk. Inner labels. LA Punk. I mean, what more to say about it than that? It's a good fucking time. Like, if you like DI or, say, the first Vandals EP or even stuff like the Gun Club, like the first Gun Club record, Tex and the Horseheads, 45 Grave, that vibe is on here as well. It's also very bouncy, and I think that a lot of that might be Mike Watt's influence. You can definitely hear some callbacks to like the Minutemen. It doesn't sound like the Minutemen, but like, there's resemblance. We'll just say that much. Not every track on here is phenomenal. There's a track on here called Rap Trap, which, if you thought there might be rap on Rap Trap, you might be right. At any rate, that aside, I have no complaints about this. This is a great blind buy. I'm glad I stuck with my instincts and gave it a whirl, brought it home with me, gave it a home. And that's all I've got. That's what's been spinning. That's the stuff that I've been kind of addicted to over the course of the last couple weeks. You know, like I said, I try to go for topics. Nothing was appealing to me. There's a thread going around right now that I want to participate in. So you may see a video for that pop up. 5 records that will never be repressed by MoFi. I mean, you've seen what I buy. There's not really much room in my collection for MoFi, except for, I guess, with some of the jazz, but let's be honest, I'm going to buy whatever copy of whatever jazz record I want that's the cheapest, and that would not be a MoFi record. So, I might do that. I'm going to Portland, going to do some record shopping, probably expect a pickups video from that trip, because Portland has more record stores than we do here in Seattle, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So, stoked for that. In the meantime, thanks for sticking with me. Notice I got kind of like a handful of new subs, maybe from the stream on Friday. If you're one of those new subs, thank you. I really appreciate it. But yeah, let's talk about this shit. If you've got anything to say about any of it, get at me down below. I'll comment back. I will reply, always. Unless your comment's just asinine. Peace out.